Elizabeth Bernhard, and I have the great pleasure of serving as the new Executive Director of the South Haven Regional Business Hub. I'm thrilled to be here in this new role, in this new capacity, with this fantastic organization and an outstanding team supporting the event today. So you are here for a introduction to the Leadership Accelerator, which is the region's most distinguished leadership program that has been offered successfully, highly successfully, through a partnership with Lake Michigan College, the Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber, and the Purpose Partner for years. And we at the South Haven Regional Business Hub saw a need in the Van Buren area, in South Haven specifically, for leadership training. So we reached out to our partners and requested to be part of the Cool Kids group. So we're happy to be here, happy to be bringing this program to you. We have an hour scheduled today, and as you can see, the session is being recorded, so we can share this out after the fact with your colleagues who weren't able to join us. During the session, you'll see the chat is available to you. Please submit your questions while we go. And I'll be moderating the chat line as we go through, but most likely I will be holding your questions until the very end. So with that, keep adding your questions. And we will be here to get your questions answered about the Leadership Accelerator, which launches in October, and it's a 7th-month program. So I want to thank our partners who are assembled here today. We have Kathleen Wolf with the Purpose Partners. She and her team are the facilitators of the Leadership Accelerator. We, of course, have Jeremy Burleson with Lake Michigan College, our strong partner here at the college, and Sarah Spoonholtz with Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber, who has been, as I said, offering this leadership program for quite some time. I also want to thank the South Haven Community Foundation, who has generously funded this collaborative. They have a strong belief in leadership and are excited to get behind this initiative because they understand that there is a need for this topic being addressed in the region. This conversation is 2 years in the making. And as identified, I'm one of the new ones at the table. I was not here for the planning. So I really want to also acknowledge our partners, Debbie Howe, who is our founder, and the Hub's board chair, as well as Michael Neese with this program. And also I want to do a shout out to Brandy Kay and the South Haven Chamber, who is a strong partner with this and helping us get the word out with their members. So with that, Jeremy, I kick it over to you.
Oh boy. Okay. So the biggest thing is like, why are you here? Why are you trying to do this? And that's the best thing about this is we've seen within this community as the associate dean for Lake Michigan College, introduce myself. We've seen an issue in the city that we need new businesses and we need new people to drive those businesses. And so in order to do that, you have to have leaders. And so what you start to look at is leadership versus management. So leadership on one point leads and drives the direction of whatever you're trying to do. Management is like, and a lot of you are amazing managers, which is phenomenal, and we need that as well. But we also need that second step. We need that second tier to make sure that those leaders are providing direction, mentoring, and then moving forward with the business. So that's kind of why we're here. We're trying to make sure that everyone is set with the things that they need to make accessible for the new business. So there's a lot of challenges that we're facing. The ecosystem that we do when we start to build a business, when we start to do all of these amazing things, we have to have leadership to drive those new businesses. And we know technology is changing. Everything is changing within the educational world, within the business world. So you have people that can manage the people that come through your doors. but then you have to have someone that then says, why are you managing them this way? If that makes sense to you. And I hope it does, because you have to have someone on the other side that says, you did a great job. You helped that person, that customer that came through the door. But what is our overall goal? What is our overarching, what is that umbrella that we have for your business? And anyone that goes through this program will start to learn, what does that look like? Because I'm going to tell you, I started as a teacher. I had no clue what it looked like to be an administrator in the education realm. But what happens is you start to look at, okay, so I'm a teacher sitting with students, teach them the best way that I can. But then what does it look like at a district level? What does it look like at a management level? What field and how are we trying to progress our business? Because that in and of itself will help you progress for those that are being entrepreneurs, that are starting new businesses, that are going and saying, hey, I want to start this. You have to have a giant, and I always say the umbrella, it's probably lame, but the umbrella vision of what that will look like going forward. If you don't have that and you don't have people to help you do that, it's going to be difficult. So this whole leadership acceleration program is basically it's based on the fact that we want to help you, anyone, if you want to move up or if you want to grow your program, any of it, we can help you out with that. I've gone through a couple different leadership programs. And from what I've seen from the schedule that this program offers, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. You're going to get the skills that you need to lead meetings, to build a program, to advance your business, to move forward in whatever you're trying to do. So even if you're like, let's say you're just management, I don't say just, but if you're management level, which is amazing, if you want to move forward with that, these skills through this class will help you progress to that point. And I think that's what we need to look at. So why South Haven? Why are we here? The biggest thing for South Haven is just to understand that we're changing. That not just South Haven as a city, but as a community as a whole. We cannot rely just on tourism. Tourism is phenomenal, amazing. And we've done an amazing job with tourism. But we also have to have another engine to that. And that's where our businesses lie. And that's where when you come into these new businesses and you start these things up in this area, you're going to be our vision. You're going to be our future. So that's why we look at this as such an amazing pathway for people to come into and learn these skills, be able to apply it to where they're working currently and to where they can go on their next chapter. So that's my spiel.
Great job, Jeremy. Hello, everyone. I'm Kathleen Wolf with the Purpose Partners. And when I was listening to Jeremy, I often talk about the Leadership Accelerator in terms of confidence, increasing competence, character, and commitment to being a strong leader. But the C that came to mind when I was listening to Jeremy is comprehensive, because this Leadership Accelerator is comprehensive. A little bit about me. I have 25 years experience in a Fortune 100 company. I grew up in a family of small business owners. I actually went to work for a large company because I didn't want to work as hard as I saw them working. But as I grew in my career, I realized that my purpose was to take the learnings that I have in a large organization and really help small businesses, entrepreneurs, and individuals be successful. And so I actually owned a small franchise for a while. I had an online business. And now for the past 8 years, I've been leading the Purpose Partners. And I love this part of my business, working with our team to facilitate the Leadership Accelerator. We call it strengths-based leadership. And what that means is we start by understanding every participant's unique talents. And so this is not a cookie cutter, out of the box approach. We actually tailor the program to the individuals. So you start out by understanding what you naturally do well. And then over the course of 13 different leadership topics, we help you apply your natural talents to really get the opportunity to build your leadership competence. And so this program is a small group format. We limit it to 30 participants. So if you're on the bubble thinking about this, apply now because you don't want to be left out. We choose 30 participants because we want it to be an interactive format. And so what we've learned from the last 3 cohorts is that it's about getting some instruction, but leaving a lot of time for the participants to practice and then to network and building relationships within the group that is together. And those relationships become sounding boards for you as emerging leaders to rely on others when you have a question. But the other thing I would say is that myself and my team who facilitates this, we're not here just there for the session. We make ourselves available. And I'm going to read a quick quote from a 2024 participant of the Leadership Accelerator cohort because it really made my heart swell. This is a person who was struggling with confidence when she joined the Leadership Accelerator. And boy, I've kept in contact with her and I'm so excited to see her flourish. She wrote me a note the other day talking about her leadership journey since the Leadership Accelerator. And she said to me, I wholeheartedly don't think I would have ever had the courage to take the next steps or dare to lead if it weren't for you, but your belief in me. Now, I went back and told her she was like Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz. It was inside her all the time. But that's what this is about. Our emerging leaders have these natural talents. They're called strengths. And what we do is we invest time in the process of polishing those natural talents. And that's what the Leadership Accelerator does. At the outset of this program, everybody gets to talk about, through their applied leadership project, how they have applied their learnings to their business, to their leadership. And it's amazing to see the increase in overall confidence. And so from the last participant group, we asked the question on the front end as well as the back end, what's your confidence level in applying your learnings to your business? And so their confidence in their ability went from a 6.64 to a 9.09. So that was an increase of 2.45. So their confidence in their ability to apply what they learned has grown. And that's what this is all about. It's not theory, it is practice, but it's also about implementation and making the world better because we have more stronger leaders. Sarah, you were a participant in the Leadership Accelerator. Tell us about your experience.
So it's really kind of cool for me because I not only am I an alum, which we have an amazing alumni group of, multiple hundreds of us who are out there that still keep in touch, but I also get to go through this every single year with our new cohorts and the day in the life of a cohort member. You come in, you get an opportunity to connect and get to know your fellows that are attending this with you. And then you have opportunities to continue to grow those relationships, which I think, there's the saying that it's lonely at the top. Like leadership can be incredibly lonely, but you're also cultivating, as Kathleen said, you're cultivating this relationship of individuals who can support you. And you're learning and you're providing different perspectives from different personality styles and different strengths too that help you learn, okay, so if I have someone that I'm working with and they are this strength that maybe is a lower one on my 34 different strengths, how can I work with them? How can I collaborate with them? How can I, you know, how can we get the best out of things together? So you learn a lot about that, but then you really do this amazing self-discovery journey. I actually just wrote an article for our Mailmax for this week, and in it, I talked about Leadership Accelerator and South Haven being open. Benton Harbors will open in October for 2026. And one of the biggest highlights is the fact that you watch someone, and for me, it's watching someone who is incredibly introverted and just watching them bloom and go from someone who doesn't have confidence in any of their leadership abilities to being someone who is engaging and they're actively involved and they're communicating with their peers. But then even after it, having events recently for the chamber, and we had multiple of our cohorts from 2025 who attended, and to see the connection and the relationship that they have built is incredibly just amazing and fascinating to watch. Sometimes I feel a little left out because I was part of the 2020 cohort, so we were the virtual cohort for everything. But it's so amazing to watch them get to know each other and encourage each other and just cheer each other on and really have lots of these in-depth conversations that you might not feel comfortable or safe to do otherwise about some really deep topics, and really discover what their personal leadership is that they can then apply, whether it's professionally in the workplace or even take it home to their personal relationships with their family, their friends, their significant other, and their children. So it's a top 10 of thing that I highly recommend everyone to do is to be part of this program. Another really cool thing about it is that we learn about collaborations and the importance of collaborating together. There is the saying, high tides raises all ships, and I'm a firm believer. My personality style leans into collaboration. So the fact that we're able to bring all these different organizations together to collaborate, to bring something to the community, to help grow our next group of leaders and even to help develop mentors. We've had multiple individuals who have been older and retired, but they're looking to re-engage and reconnect. This opportunity of collaborating together has really been a key one. So I would like to invite everyone that are partners now to share a little bit of their perspectives regarding collaboration. And Jeremy, I'm actually going to kick it off with you.
I knew you were going to throw it out to me. I see how you are. That's fine. So the biggest thing for Lake Michigan College is, so I try to collaborate with everyone. So the first thing that I did, I've been here for 10 years. Education has been my background for the last 30 years. What I would say is the biggest thing for us is to make sure that we're reaching out to the community to see what they need. So what does the community need and how can we fulfill that? At the same time, how can we take our students, I still call my kids, how can we take our kids and get them to grow, to be leaders? How can we take them to get that next educational step? And that's what I've gone through forever. And it's been successful. We partner with Michigan State University. We partner with Macomb Community College. Our MTA programs, our dual enrollment numbers from our local high schools. We have 8 local high schools. and we're trying to get those students in to do dual enrollment, it's higher than it ever has been, because we're trying to say, okay, how do we partner? How do we work with people to get them educated in the field that they want to go in? And so that's what we're saying to all of our local people that are working right now. If you want to advance in your position, or you just want to understand what a leadership type atmosphere looks like, let's offer that. And so Lake Michigan College has been behind that from square one. So we offer this class in Benton Harbor, but what I want to do is I want to bring it up to South Haven, because I think this area derives and needs the extra support for businesses, not just tourism. Amazing tourist place, been here in my life, I get it. But what else can we do? What else can we drive in South Haven to get that going on that extra engine? How can we get that progressed? And in order to do that, we have to have some leaders. And I want everyone to expand their mind and think, even if it's someone that's just doing minimal tasks, you have the ability to be a leader in whatever corporation you are in. And so that's what's part of this. And that's what drives me and Lake Michigan College to be a part of this. I've done multiple leadership academies and things like that, but to be able to sit down with people that you're seeing here on the screen, the people that you're getting to know, and have a personal relationship with them and build and grow is going to be phenomenal for how you progress within your career.
I agree, Jeremy. My mentor had said to me, relationships are everything. And at the time, I really didn't know, or I didn't understand the magnitude of what that meant. But it was interesting. Last year in the January cohort in Benton Harbor, we had 2 students or participants in the Leadership Accelerator that were from South Haven, and they were traveling. And so, I went, and that's how Jeremy and I met. I was hooked up with Jeremy because, we need to bring this to Lake Michigan College, South Haven, because there is a whole nother region out there that needs to invest in its leaders. And I talk about relationships are everything, but the other thing that I would say is the single best investment that you can make in your business is building leaders, because leadership is not a title. Leadership is the way that you act and approach your life, your work. And so I believe that the world needs more stronger leaders. And that's what I'm passionate about. And I'm so thankful that we are now offering this opportunity at Lake Michigan College South Haven campus.
Well said, Kathleen. And obviously, the chamber side of things, we know we need strong leaders to have a strong ecosystem, strong businesses, strong staffing. People don't quit jobs because they hate the job. They quit the job because they hate their manager, they hate their coworker. Maybe hate's too strong of a word. They dislike them severely, which forces them to make some decisions. The other part of it is, statistically, we're looking at nearly 40% of the population retiring in the next 5 years. And we do not have, and this is nationwide, we do not have the leaders set up. So how can we be competitive? How can we keep people who are here, who are good employees, who are, your friends, your neighbors, maybe even your significant other? How can we keep them from getting recruited to a place that's bigger? Instead, we invest in them, we invest in ourselves, and we grow our talent bank. And that helps us retain them and continue to become a place that is, excuse me, equally thriving, but also growing too, all across Southwest Michigan.
Yeah, that's great, Sarah. Thank you. You made a good point about that this accelerator is not just for somebody brand new in their career. And you spoke earlier, Sarah, about how the region has a significant number of retirees. South Haven's median age is actually 61 years old. And we are looking at the coming years at more retirees. And so, how can this accelerator support the pivoting professional? I think about a lot of people who the hub supports, a lot of business owners. These are individuals who are probably not at the beginning of their career. They have the courage and the passion to try something else. And they know that they need some support to go the next level. So they come to the hub or to you as organizations, partner organizations, for that support in going to the next level. So here at the South Haven Regional Business Hub, we're thrilled to be a partner because we have heard from the business owners we've been working with that they want to invest in their people and they want to invest in their own growth. And I know that many of you, as business leaders on the call today, you're here because you want to invest in your people. You know that for your company to grow, that it's going to take that further development of your key leaders to go the next level. So let's get into what some of the results have been, and then we're going to talk more about the schedule and get into some concrete details. I promise you those concrete details are coming. But let's first cover what are some of the benefits that participants can expect from participating.
Well, I'll chime in. Like I mentioned in that statistic, the real benefit comes with increased leadership confidence. We've seen positive results with every cohort. We take a pre-test just to understand where they are when they join. And then after the 13 sessions and their applied leadership project, upon graduation day, we have them take a post survey. And we've seen phenomenal growth from every participant. And it's all about building leadership confidence. And the reason why I chose to share that confidence in the ability to apply their learning, that growth of 2.45, is because what we've seen is it's not one of these leadership lessons that you go and do one day and then you return to the office and you go back to what you're doing. Because this cohort will last from October through April, we are giving people the opportunity to learn and apply their learnings over time. So it's more sustainable.
We've also, while we can't guarantee this for everyone, but we have also seen multiple individuals throughout the cohort or immediately after the cohort get promotions internally, promotions and new job opportunities externally from their current businesses. But also on the other side of it too, we do take one day and we head to Lansing and spend an entire day there getting to connect in and learn from your legislators, the people who are writing the laws and putting them into effect, and hearing directly from them on the other side of it of what goes into a lot of that, which has been very enlightening and also a really cool experience to watch some of those the attendees and individuals of the cohort go through.
Sarah mentions a great point. So that goes back to relationships, right? So that's what we're trying to learn. Like, how do you best lead the team that you're with? How do you best learn the people how they learn? And so when you can talk to them in a way that you understand how they're learning, in the way that you know how you learn, you can build a better team. And that's what a lot of this is about. You go to Lansing, you get the opportunity to learn about the people and who they are and get those personalities, build those relationships. Because, like Sarah and, Kathleen and Elizabeth have already said, it's about relationships. And how do you develop those based on what you know about those employees that you have? And that's the biggest key that you can pull from this, is understanding who those people are that you're working with and how to relate to them and how to lead them.
Right. Kathleen, could you get into the program details?
Sure. So, as I mentioned, the cohort will start in October and it will last through April. It's a small group, a maximum of 30. We meet every other Thursday with the, obvious exception of a few holidays here and there. And we typically start at 8:15 and run through 12:30. If it's of any enticement to you, a little bit of breakfast and a little bit of lunch is provided. So not only are we nourishing your brains, we're nourishing your body. And then the investment is $1,500. But if you have done any competitive comparison, I want you to know that this $1,500 investment is a bargain. Thinking about what you are experiencing over the course of October through April, many programs are more expensive and have a third of the sessions. So this is not about revenue generation for the people here. It is about generating better leadership.
Right, thank you. And as you'll see there, we are currently accepting applications, and our deadline to apply is September the 27th. And this is who we say this program is ideal for. We've already talked about the emerging leader, individuals who are on the cusp of leadership or looking to step up. This is also for established professionals, seasoned leaders seeking to refine their skills, expand their networks, and drive change. And community advocates, if you're passionate about creating positive change in our community, our program will empower you with skills and knowledge to make that difference, as well as forward thinkers, visionaries who understand the power of leadership, who are committed to shaping a better future. I think of these individuals as pivoting professionals, people who are looking at ending the first chapter and starting the next one. So you'll see here on the screen, there's a link that will take you directly to Lake Michigan College's application page. It will probably take you about 15 minutes or so tops to fill out, I would say. What do you think, Jeremy?
Yeah,
10, 15?
that's about right.
Okay. And then after, as I said, the applications are accepted until the 27th. And then several of the people involved in the call today will get together to review the applications. This is a competitive program. So we really are looking for you to provide comprehensive information into your answers so that we can really understand what you want to get out of it, because we want you to get as much out of it as you possibly can. Kathleen had talked earlier about some of the sessions. Kathleen, could you go into a bit greater detail about what are the topics that will be covered?
Sure. So our opening session is all about learning your strengths profile, because we start with that, and the strengths profile is the red thread that goes through each of the following sessions. The other thing that we talk about in the first session is the applied leadership project. It used to be in previous iterations of the Leadership Accelerator that there was a group project, but what we found was that the businesses who are sending their talent to this leadership cohort wanted to see development and how it would impact their business. So we pivoted ourselves and we changed to be have the project be applying what they learned to their businesses. There's personal brand, there is a number of sessions, and then you can see here, critical thinking and problem solving. I had a business say, they don't teach critical thinking and problem solving in school. And so what we do is we use a number of exercises, And plus, when you've got a little bit of experience behind you, being able to apply your experience along with that experience of the cohort members to critical thinking and problem solving, it becomes that much more rich. Emotional intelligence and engagement. Engagement is one of those topics that's really important right now because unfortunately, employee engagement is at an all-time low. And so, as leaders, if you want to get the most and the best from your people, you've got to figure out how to engage them. And we talk about that and we practice it. Health, well being, and the future of work. If we're not taking care of our people, we will not have a future. So, a new leadership discipline is about respecting the whole employee. And then we get into like, what are some of the trends like hybrid work, remote work, AI? And then we talk about leadership discipline because it's not just good enough to learn this, but you've got to get systems and processes in place so that you can carry this on. And then, like I said, this culminates in the applied leadership presentation. And this is where we see our participants shine. It's like one of my proudest days because you see people communicating what they've learned and how they're applying it in their business. And it's just one of those days that I'm like a proud mama because all of these participants have put in the work and this is their time to really show their new leadership confidence.
You just made me realize I need to block my calendar for April the 9th so I can be there to witness it. I want to participate in some of that joy.
Yes.
You do not want to miss this.
The emotions are very, very strong that day.
It is. And then through the graduation, we invite the members to not only bring their supervisor or their sponsor, but also their family members. And so in the last graduation, I got to sit by a member's granddaughter, and she was so proud of her papa. It was adorable.
Great. And then you'll see there we have a TBD capital trip. That will be a trip that the participants will be taking in addition to the participants in the St. Joe cohort. So it'll be a very large group trip to the capital.
Another networking opportunity.
Yes.
Because we're cross-pollinating the two leadership cohorts. It's going to be great.
And with that, we would love to take your questions. And then I have my contact information there. If you have a specific question for Kathleen or Sarah or Jeremy, to make things simple, you're certainly happy to contact me and then I'll share it to them, or you can contact them directly if you have their info. With that, what questions do we have?
No questions in the chat.
Okay. Thank you, Sherry.
This is always the awkward silence moment that everyone's like, oh no, what do I do? So yeah, if you have questions, like shout it out. We're okay.
And hopefully we were so comprehensive, back to the extra C that we started with, that we answered your questions. But I happen to be one of those people that I'll be very excited in the moment. And when I leave, I'll think, oh, I wish I would have asked this question. So you have Elizabeth's contact information, but I'm Kathleen Curtis Wolf on LinkedIn. So if you want to link up with me, ask any questions, I'm always available for that as well.
If you would like to ask a question, this is a time to go off mute, to unmute
There's a
yourself.
question in the chat, Elizabeth. Do people have to live in Southwest Michigan or Van Buren County or South Haven in particular to apply for this program?
No, that's great question. And no, participants do not have to be from South Haven or from the county or even from the region necessarily.
John from Revere. You guys said that you've had hundreds of these. So in the past, the hundreds of cohorts, have they all been roughly in this area? Or who's been putting this on in the past?
Yeah, so to go back on the very long history of Leadership Accelerator, the Chamber, Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber at the time, we were Cornerstone Chamber. We actually launched the program back in the 80s. Had it for a couple of years, went to LMC. That was our first partnership with the college on it. Went through some changes, came back to the chamber. We officially did away with it back in like 2013. In 2015, it was reborn as Leadership Accelerator with a different group. They operated it until my cohort, the COVID cohort of 2020. It took a year off, reevaluated some things, and then it was taken back to the college. And from then on, it has been a collaboration between the chamber and the college since then. So we're on year 3, 4, going into year 5, back together again, collaborating. And yes, we have, I believe the alumni list has nearly 300 individuals. Some of them have moved out of the area, but we still have quite a few of them who we keep in contact fairly regularly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, John.
John, the biggest thing is that we're trying to move it up north. So, being in charge of the South Haven campus, we're just trying to, instead of focusing on the Benton Harbor St. Joe, there's a ton of people that we can help up north. And so that's why we're trying to expand that into the South Haven. Shoot, we can go into Holland, Fenville, like all those areas up here too. And we know that this will be beneficial for people around the area.
And as Kathleen mentioned earlier too, we traditionally do have individuals from the South Haven or surrounding communities who have attended the one that's in Benton Harbor. This makes it easier on them. We have also had individuals we had one or two of them from Kalamazoo 2 years ago as well. So we feel like this not only allows for us to collaborate with folks like Brandy and Elizabeth, but also allows for individuals who maybe, especially thinking in the winter time, that they're like, driving to Benton Harbor is not necessarily the number one activity I want to do today, but I could make it to South Haven. So we also want to make it something that is accommodating to them, and also potentially pull in individuals who maybe don't even get to experience South Haven on a regular basis as well. So looking at individuals in Allegan or Holland, Kalamazoo, the surrounding communities, that it is a reasonable drive for them to connect.
Yes, I was going to say it's easier to have 2 facilitators drive than having 30 people.
Yep.
But the other thing that I would say too is I've spent a lot of time in South Haven over the years, but I had never been to the Lake Michigan College South Haven campus, and I was amazed. So as somebody who actually did dual enrollment in high school, took a college class at Lake Michigan College, as well as I came back to Watervliet every summer. And while I was on Paw Paw Lake, I would take my classes at Lake Michigan College. I am just impressed with the facility. And then having now seen the South Haven campus, even more impressed. Exactly.
We do our best. I'm glad you came up here. Yep, mind blown.
I love it because we can just walk down the road to it. So
There you go.
Yeah.
That's even
Yeah.
better.
So we have another question in the chat. What is the background origination of the curriculum?
I'll jump in. So 3 years ago, we looked at revitalizing the curriculum, and it was a conversation originally between Ken Flowers and myself. Ken Flowers is I don't
Now
know.
the vice president of academics and student affairs. So he's running kind of both sides of the house right now.
Okay. And so what we did is we did a lot of background research on what are the topics that leaders needed to be well versed in. But then we also contacted businesses throughout Van Buren, Cass, and Berrien County to understand their challenges. And so between knowing the competencies of a leader and the challenges of organizations, we came to an agreement on these topics. And so we look at reevaluating them after every cohort. And actually during the cohort too, after every session, we ask for feedback. And based on the feedback, we will tweak the content for the course. I will say that the topics typically stay the same because we found them to be the most relevant, but how we apply the learnings or bring in additional learnings based on the needs of the cohort, that changes so that we can make sure that everybody gets what they need.
And that's also true, not just topics or anything like that and personality styles, but I'm even going down to we've had years where the cohort is very extroverted, like extremely extroverted. And then we've had years where they are all very introverted, but like two people. So finding the balance after, especially after that first session or in the middle of the first session, truthfully, to see like, okay, who is what here, and customizing from that moment on is also something that we Kathleen and her team have been very successful in pivoting very quickly in that respect.
Yes, that's always interesting to learn the dynamics of the group and then cater to them so that they have the best learning experience.
I just entered into the chat the link so you can go directly to the application page. If you wanted to see the schedule, it is on the South Haven Regional Business Hub website under Programs and under Leadership Accelerator. And as I said, this session has been recorded, so afterwards we will send it to everybody who registered. So if you attended today and you would like to share it with a colleague or a friend, you can do so easily. And we are available for another 10 minutes if you have any additional questions. Otherwise, I really want to thank all of you for joining us. Thank you, Kathleen, Jeremy, and Sarah for joining me in today's conversation. And we'll stick around for another 10 minutes or so. If you want to have an informal chat with us, we will be here. With that, thank you very much for joining us.
Bye, everyone.